Before we get the show on the road, though, like I said, I want to. It's not everyone. Maybe it's not everyone's bag, but I want to see a video about the Greenland situation. First, though, what prompted me to do this? I got really mad when I saw this. Let's see the thing. See, this is a Norwegian newspaper, so y'all can't read this, but that says, "Give Trump Greenland in exchange for European security." Guys, you know who else has a security guarantee? Ukraine had a security guarantee. They exchanged a large nuclear arsenal in exchange for a security guarantee. And look where they are now. Like, today, the problem with Ukraine is that it's full of Russians. And you know, if the security guarantees had worked, if they had stuck to their word, I guess that includes us, I'm not fully sure, then we wouldn't be having this problem. So I'm saying no to that, guys. What do you say? Do you think Trump should have Greenland? And how do you think it would go invading Greenland, though? Because honestly, who really wants to stand up to the U.S. Army, right? I don't think anyone wants to do that. But it's so weird. He wants it because of security guarantees, right? But the security guarantee is NATO. Like, we formed that after the Second World War to make sure that this didn't happen again. We would protect each other, you know, and invoke Article 5, which, by the way, there's only one country on the face of this earth that has invoked. U.S.A. Right after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, U.S.A. invoked Article 5, and we all came. Every single one of us, even little fucking Norway, had soldiers way up in the mountains because we're specialists in winter warfare. They actually trained with us. Which is why I don't think that invading Greenland is going to be a great idea for the U.S. Army, though, even. Thing is, this has to stay conventional, right? Because you can't nuke it. There's a limit to how many ballistic missiles they can chuck at it because they want it for security guarantees, meaning they want infrastructure. So let's take a look at this video and see how this gentleman thinks this would go. What do you think, though? What do you think? I think we have more winter soldiers than they do. And I think we have a larger base of army than they do. But that being said, though, I'm really not hoping this goes to any form of war, though. I hope he just backs the fuck off. Looks like it's time to pick up the AG-3 again. Yeah, the good old AG-3, man. What was your gun's name? Because we had to name ours in the army. Mine was called Dick Justice. Not overcompensating at all. I'm not so sure, man. I don't think this is going to have a positive outcome at all. But I actually have more faith in the European Union, though. In this case, it's winter warfare after all.
Ice, distance, and darkness. That's what defines Greenland as a military problem. If you ask whether the rest of NATO could realistically defend Greenland against a US invasion, you're
Okay, what does this say? They have active manpower with Arctic training? Okay, without the USA, we have 80 to 120,000. The US can support 15 to 20. We have a metric ton more of articulated... What is an articulated vehicle? What's the definition of an articulated vehicle? Would that mean like a tank with thread mills and all? Am I wrong about that? No, that goes under winter-capable tanks. I actually have no idea what an articulated vehicle is. Can someone inform me of that?
really asking who can move, fight, and sustain under Arctic conditions, through blizzards, on ice choke.
But it's not the same, man. When it gets this cold, you know, metal contracts in the cold. It shrinks, basically, and it expands in the heat. And, you know, this kind of cold, though, in the southern part of this, it can reach below 50, I've heard. Below 50. But that's not normal temperature around here, though. But it is machine-breaking levels of cold.
With almost no infrastructure to lean on. And you're asking who would even want to. Outside of the MAGA core, I don't think the US public would back an invasion of Greenland, or Canada for that matter. and I don't think Washington would choose to rupture NATO over it. But for the sake of the community's most voted topic for our October community request,
All right.
let's pressure test the scenario and see what winter capability, geography, and logistics actually say. I'm Tuomas, a former officer in the Finnish Defense Forces.
Pasi, this is your guy. Okay, it's not the guy you mentioned, but here's a Finnish gentleman actually making a video for you. How do you feel? Do you feel a little bit more celebrity-like now? They looked badass in the movies, but IRL, it wasn't that great. Torille! Okay, I didn't do any background checks, really, so I don't fully know who this dude is. I don't know what level of faith I should put in this gentleman, but I am putting a little bit of faith in him. And let's see what he has to say, though. I'm very curious, because this used to be, when he first said it, it was just like one of those things that Trump says, you know, we need Greenland, you know, for our national security. It's an important thing for us, and this is what we need. And, you know, he says a lot of things. Right now, it feels more like, it feels a lot more real, guys. Let's see the thing. There we go. I had a strong hunch he was Finn from his accent. Definitely a Finn.
This is part 1 of October's community voted video. As the question was about Canada and Greenland, we'll focus on Greenland this week and do a Canada-specific video next week.
Yeah, because he
Let
wants
us,
Canada
as
as
any
well.
good war planner would,
51st
start
state.
with the map. Greenland is officially huge. Its coastline is carved by fjords. A vast glacier sits in the middle all year round.
That's one thing I got wrong, though, because I actually thought Greenland was like very little. Am I the only one? Maybe okay, geography not my strong suit, but I thought that Greenland was this little dot in the corner somewhere. I don't think it's going to come that far. We're going to invoke Article 4 long before, which is diplomatic resolution, and I'm sure a resolution can be made.
And the population could fit into a mid-sized European football stadium. There are only a handful of airfields that matter. A few usable deep water
Okay, so this is it. It's a few reusable
ports and long,
ports.
unforgiving distances between them. The weather
Yeah. So there's not really a lot there. How does this place really determine national security for the U.S., though? It doesn't look like there's a whole lot there to do. I mean, you're going to have to build a lot of infrastructure there, I guess. What do you guys say? What do you think will be important to make this important for national security?
isn't just cold, it is equipment-breaking cold. And generally there's a mean wind which quickly packs snow into your gear at least 9 months of the year, from the end of September to the end of May. Operationally, this means that an army not trained or equipped for cold weather fighting would struggle after just a few months in theater.
Like,
the biggest issue
terrain like that, like temperatures like that, it's not comfortable to be there at all. And last but not least, doing things like picking apart a weapon or something like that, or even reloading a gun becomes tricky in weather like this. How much of Greenland is melting ice? I have no idea. As Pete takes it, he couldn't even plan a simple bombing run without fucking up. The Orange Blob managed to sneak away from the Vietnam draft twice. They're planning on taking Greenland against NATO. They don't stand a chance. They can bomb and send missiles, but they need boots on the ground, and that's when they get fucked. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, you know, as long as it stays... When it comes to boots on the ground, or if it comes to that, it's I don't think it's going to go in their favor. But I'm very curious to see this gentleman's take on it, though. Maybe to secure cheaper Voss water for the average Joe in the USA? Support for national security. Maybe.
issue for a weapons-heavy military like the US is that rubber hardens, batteries die, lubricants thicken, optics fog, and wind turns a routine lift into a horror show. A bit like during the Finnish winter, you don't choose your tempo in Greenland. The weather chooses it for you. Any attacker depends on a tiny number of runways and protected anchorages, and any defender, including the Danish special operators who use Greenland as their playground, knows exactly which ones those are.
Don't they have
Most
a really
American
funny
military
name?
gear would cease to work if it was deployed to Greenland, including the normal U.S. service rifle and much of its most advanced military technology, like the Abrams, Stryker, Bradley, and entire tubed artillery fleet. But we'll go over concrete.
Dude, if I ever were to become semi-famous as a streamer, if I ever were to actually make money off this, I would start my own water brand and I would call it Gamer Guy Bathwater. But it would be like cheap water. It would be like not a profit thing that I would do, you know. It would be just a funny bottle of water that maybe I'm picturing some people would say that would be funny to have at home. Look, Gamer Guy bathtub water.
Examples of that a bit later in this episode. Now flip to the politics and likelihood of the US actually going for an ally.
There he is. We're going to need Greenland for national security.
Allied territory and wrecking its alliances beyond repair. Greenland is part of the Kingdom of
Is that really how big it is? And I thought, I'm embarrassed, guys. 'Cause I thought that was like a little bit of dot in a speck in the ocean.
Denmark and inside NATO. A US assault would mean attacking a treaty ally, an Article 5 nightmare, a diplomatic shockwave, and a strategic own goal that shatters American alliances worldwide. As we covered in our episode recently on the actual strength of the US allies,
goes to show
it is
how
quite
much
clearly
I
the
know.
second military power on the globe.
Hold on. No pushovers. 2.6 million troops, 10,000 tanks, strong navy, 3,000 fighter jet. Yeah, but the thing is, though, I'm pretty sure no one can take on the U.S. on their turf, right? Like, I honestly think Russia, NATO, and China could assault the U.S. and still not win. Like, seriously. On their own terms, though, on their own ground. I do not think that they're going to stand the same odds when it comes to Greenland. At the video like this, just scroll down to the comments to see what people say. Okay, we can go through the comments as well.
That is why I call this scenario unlikely. But unlikely doesn't mean uninteresting, because it exposes the physics that decide Arctic campaigns and winter warfare, a topic I've trained soldiers in for decades now. Logistics,
naval, look at that. Naval, that would be 2.8 million tons of naval displacement. That's a weird way of, it's not a weird way, but it's just an unknown way of measuring it for me. Other armor? What does other armor include? Dude, that is a large force, though.
weather discipline, and winter skills. Those factors don't care how big your defense budget is. Try asking Stalin how that worked in
Finnish National Archives. This is 100% the uniform that I had. Way back in the day. 100%. Ugly ass, uncomfortable, but it kept you safe, right? Ish. In the snow. Can't imagine what Texas-born soldier will say when freezing in Greenland. I miss Texas. I miss mosquitoes. Hell, I'd hug a cactus right now. That's probably exactly what they say. With Patrick Swayze. Don't tell me you haven't seen Red Dawn. Dude, I am crazy for Swayze, but I have not seen Red Dawn. Well, okay, I have, but not as an adult. It's been so long since I've seen it. We got fucked up by Koreans. Did they? That was a butchery, though. But they managed to fight back in the end. And I've seen it. They were, like, if you saw the map, they were shrinking to, like, a pixel on the map. And then they managed to come back from that. Who in the right mind fights wars where the air just tried to kill you first? Exactly. We live in a land where the air hurts your face. Why do we live in a land that hurts our faces? And why do people want to come there and take it over?
I owned Finland in 1939. Winter capability is where Europe, especially the Nordics, Baltics and British, quietly shines. Norway, Sweden, Finland, and to a lesser extent Denmark, train to fight in snow, darkness, and deep cold several months every year. They practice ski-borne infantry movement, over snow mobility with BV series carriers and snowmobiles, Arctic casualty care, camouflage in whiteout conditions, and the kind of small unit fieldcraft that keeps people alive at -30. The UK,
Which is
Netherlands,
no
Germany,
small feat in
France,
itself,
and
guys.
others
Staying alive at
also
minus
send
30.
units north for winter warfare rotations every year, building a shared playbook. Short, sharp movements
What is
between
that gun
hardened
they're using,
bivouacs,
though?
fuel and battery management, cold weather marksmanship, and keeping drones and optics working when most electronics want to die. This
Sweden's best winter warfare unit, the K4 Norrlandsdragon Regiment.
culture of winter soldiering matters
love the
more than
names.
shiny kit. It shows up in the boring routines, how you dry socks, how you pack a bulk sled, how you rotate sentries so no one freezes, and in particular how
That's true though. Like in those everyday things, when you're several days in a tent below freezing temperatures, that is true. All those little things matter. You know, they matter a lot. Like I learned a trick there, which was just basically boil water, put it in your flask, and keep it in your sleeping bag. You know, and you'll actually won't freeze to death. You got a minus 30 while in Minnesota is closing down at the same degree. Yeah, it's not pleasant for us either, though. No one's gonna think minus 30 is a pleasant experience, right? But it's been done enough in the professional field that they know what they're doing. Next son of a gun who says layer up gets buried in his own parka.
to tire out and isolate your enemy by using the elements. First, let's look at what kind of Arctic capability the opposing sides would have in such a scenario. In a scenario where the rest of NATO had to defend Greenland, or even consider operation.
Dude, I think it's scary that's even a thought, man. It seemed very impossible for me a while ago. I watched a lot of videos from Ukraine, and one of their special forces unit got a unit filled with people that got tactical cat ears on their helmet. And that shit is so cool. What? You have to show me that. You have to send it to Let's See the Thing. We'll take a quick look at it.
In extreme Arctic conditions. The balance of true winter capability between Europe, Canada, and the United States would matter more than almost anything else. And here, Europe and Canada have a clear edge. Across the Nordic region, winter warfare isn't an afterthought. It's the foundation of military training.
Yeah, true.
Between national Arctic brigades, reserve formations, and large-scale NATO exercises like Cold Response and Nordic Response, Europe can field 80 to 120,000 active duty troops with recent, full-spectrum Arctic and sub-Arctic training.
As with everything else, the clowns in charge in the States now haven't really thought this one through. No, I don't think so. I think it's Trump spitting words and then committing some sort of power play.
Finland alone contributes a huge portion of that total, around 24,000 active troops and a wartime reserve exceeding 250,000, almost all trained to operate, move, and fight in snow and temperatures down to minus 30 or 40. Sweden and Norway add several tens of thousands more through elite Arctic units, Sweden's K4 battalion in Norrland and Norway's Arctic Brigade, as well as annual cold weather rotations that push much of their professional armies through sub-zero field conditions. The United Kingdom, Netherlands, Germany, Poland, Italy, and France all run specialized winter and
that's a fine crew, man. That's a fine crew. All wonderful countries. I've never been to Italy though. Never been to Italy or France, but what a fine ragtag militia we have there. I can't imagine how they'll get along, but you know, I guess when you have a common enemy, that's a hell of a lot easier, right? And what baffles me about all of this is that the team around the orange blob is agreeing to all this dumb shit. And don't forget the Swiss Navy. The Swiss don't have a navy. They only have mountains. You're pulling my leg, right? You're pulling my leg. Or am I dumb? Tell me I'm not dumb. Lie to me. Yeah, me too, man. I can't really understand it myself, you know. See, I was very pro-Trump when he was coming up, you know. But I regretted that, like, I don't know, a day or two after he took over. I'm embarrassed to say I was. He's just doing so much dumb shit. And he's surrounding himself with idiots. And he's getting rid of some smart people, you know. He's not without achievements, though. I mean, you can... No, we're not going to talk about Venezuela. We're not going to talk about that. But, no, he's not without achievements, but he is total fucking idiot. Yeah, I stand by that. Total fucking idiot. Just blow off their heads if they don't. It's amazing how much power they give this rotten orange. I think the Swiss are useless. The Swiss have an amazing defense. I don't know what they can contribute here, though, but they sure as hell don't have a navy. That's posse pulling my leg. It has to be, right?
Alpine elements that cycle through the same demanding Nordic courses each year. And that's before we mention how Norway's special operators host allied special teams for Arctic war games every year, where stories of them handing tough lessons to visiting elite US units are, let's just say, not uncommon. Canada adds another strong component. The Canadian Rangers, a lightly equipped but locally rooted force of over 5,600 personnel, act as the permanent eyes and ears of the Canadian military in the far north. They're backed by 4 Arctic Response Company groups, each around 150 troops, which train specifically for operations in frozen environments. When you factor in regular rotations like Operation Nunalivut and Arctic Bison.
In what mountain do they dock their navy, though? I'm curious which mountain that lives in.
Canada can deploy somewhere between 6,000 and 8,000 Arctic-trained personnel on relatively short notice, and scale that further through rotations of regular infantry trained in winter warfare. By contrast, the United States has made some strides in rebuilding its Arctic readiness in recent years, but it's still catching up. Its main Arctic formation is the 11th Airborne Division based in Alaska, numbering roughly 10,000 to 12,000 soldiers, supported by the Northern Warfare Training Center
That's still
near
a
Fairbanks.
rough place to make it, though, Alaska.
When you add the Marine Corps Mountain Warfare Training Center in Bridgeport, California, and special operations courses in cold environments like Kodiak, Alaska, the total rises to about 15,000 to 25,000 U.S. troops with active...
That's an extreme difference in the amount of personnel.
Arctic or deep winter qualifications. That's still significantly fewer than Europe and Canada combined, though the US has the logistics muscle and airlift to move faster once it's on the ground. Where European and Canadian forces really pull ahead is in kit that actually works in Greenland-grade cold. Across NATO minus the US, there are about 2,000 articulated over-snow carriers, mainly Swedish-made varying BV models that float over deep snow and keep running at minus 40. In service...
That is impressive. Not a lot runs at minus 40. Wonder how long training American riflemen have. 10 hours? Finnish Jägers and training conscripts, it's 6 months in Finland. You know, if it's one thing that the Americans are good at, though, I mean, it's routine and training and upkeep. So like, for example, pilots have... how do I formulate this? They're the pilots with the most flight hours in the world. That's as an example. So I don't have any numbers on that, but I do know that their training regimen is hard, it's solid, and it's plentiful.
Serviceable storage. The US, by contrast, fields under 300, including its new BVS-10 buy, which hasn't yet arrived.
It's 10x.
It's the same story with light mobility. Europe and Canada together run roughly 10,000 to 14,000 military-heavy snow scooters
I know we have
across the Nordics, France, Italy, Germany, Canada, and the Baltics, while U.S. forces operate a few hundred for Alaska, mountain warfare, and special operations rotations. In terrain where trucks or even light armored vehicles bog down, those numbers translate directly into an issue that is hard to overlook for any war planner. The same logic applies to armor and artillery, only fleets that actually run in deep cold count. Think CV-90, Norway and Finland's Leopard 2, Patria carriers, Sweden's Stridsvagn, Canada's LAV 6. All of them run with real winter modifications, external engine heaters, low-temperature lubricants, wider shoes and tracks, and Arctic maintenance kits. Norway and Sweden even field CV-90 variants tuned specifically for snow. Add those winter variants up and you get the picture. Across NATO without the United States...
Tell you what, though. Personally, I'd love a Humvee. I would. There's a lot of things I would do for a Humvee, though. And one was a cook of a leopard. Really? You cooked a leopard? How does leopard taste? I need picture evidence. Pictures, or it didn't happen?
There are 300 to 500 cold-weather modified modern tanks, about 600 to 1,000 winterized infantry fighting vehicles, and well over 1,000 Patria variants made in Poland and Finland that can operate in extreme
I love
cold.
the Finnish accent, man. That's
By
such
contrast,
a cool accent.
the U.S. Army has no armored brigades permanently based in the Arctic. Abrams, Strykers and Bradleys can be winter-kitted with a lot of work, but the number of fully cold-weather packaged armor sets ready for sustained
The
Arctic
numbers,
ops
man. I'm curious.
is tiny compared to Europe's capability in this area. We're talking a few
100-ish. But I would think it was a hell of a lot more than that. Hey homie, I love the live stream. Would you like to join your live stream with friends whenever you are streaming? Add me on Discord. My username is Bigish01. That's actually my call sign in real life, buddy. But no, you enjoy your streams without me, and I will enjoy my streams without you. How does that sound? Is that a fair trade? No, but that's a huge difference, though. But it's still, Abrams is terrifying. I would say that one. So can I say that one sort of counts as 2? Or am I being a little bit of a dummy when I'm claiming that?
few hundred in total, and the knowledge base within the US military to perform this sort of retrofitting is likely just as small, after 70 years of mainly fighting in warmer climates. At least for now, if winter warfare broke out in the North Atlantic or Arctic, say in Greenland or the Norwegian Sea, the majority of troops who could move, fight and survive there on short notice would still come from Europe and Canada. They've lived.
A drone is also scary these times, but at least 10 times cheaper. Yeah. The Swedes, though, have actually come up with some incredible drones. Specifically in drone swarm technology. I can't remember exactly. I read an article on it. But it was they had an extremely large amount of drones, all operating independently yet communicating together. It was supposedly incredibly cool tech, and I can see that being useful and cheap in scenarios like this, right? Because if you can make a $1,000 or a $10,000 drone and take out a tank worth millions, my God, that is exactly what Ukraine is doing now. And a lot of the drones that Ukraine are fielding, they're made by dudes like you and me sitting in their basement, learning stuff online, learning from friends, making the cheapest, shittiest, shoddiest drones. Is a large portion of it. So they don't have like one large drone factory, right? They have basements full of dudes, what they have. And that's proven to be incredibly effective. Telemax build just won a NATO tank competition. TMBN is amazing though. Those guys I really respect. I really respect the TMBN. Those old XA180s will start easily even after 100 amps and will start easily in minus 30 Celsius. XA180, what's that? That's an APC, right? Or am I wrong about that one? But if there's one elite force in Europe I really respect, it's well, you know, it's the Polish, of course, and then but TMBN, very unique regiment, an APC. Panasiri Sisu, aka Pasi. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that one before. That's your favorite APC. I don't have a favorite APC. I should get a favorite APC and carry men with battle axes.
Trained and fought in the cold for decades, and the equipment they use, from snowmobiles to over-snow carriers, is battle-tested and outsizes the US capability in the same department at least tenfold. So while the US would bring unmatched naval firepower and fair-weather air dominance to any defenders of Greenland, it's the Europeans and Canadians who would likely do most of the actual fighting on the ground in Arctic conditions. And that makes sense. This is their environment. They've trained for it, built vehicles for it, and can survive in it without needing massive energy inputs or specialized infrastructure.
Yeah.
In simple terms, the
That's the simple. That's the grace we have in this case. Is that the fact this is everyday life for the militaries in this region. Because our region is very similar to Greenland in that case. So you have to make stuff that you can use on your home turf, right? Just so happens that this turf is very similar to our own. So we don't have. That means that the U.S. has to make special equipment for this. Sorry for the delay. It took me a while to find out how to ban. Hey, you know what? Thank you for helping. Thank you for assisting. I think, Posse, everyone just spam. Can everyone just do that for a second? Just spam emotes for Posse. Applause. I think you've been a very good mod. You and Corsair don't know what I'd do without you, man. You take really good initiative, and it's really great having your help. We really appreciate both of you guys.
The US can likely cover the whole island in bombs, but the Northern Europeans and Canadians can stay there. Add to this the immense issues the US is currently facing in its sea lift capabilities in comparison to Europe's quite massive civilian freight and sea lift fleet, and you'd be hard-placed to see the US winning a protracted logistical war. So how would a fight look if someone forced this scenario?
Okay.
An American operation would likely depend on securing a small number of locations quickly, airfields and nearby harbors, then rushing in engineers, fuel, de-icing, shelters, and air defenses to keep the bridgeheads alive. That initial lift is vulnerable to timing. A 2-day storm window can close the sky, scatter ships, and leave air assault elements thin and isolated.
That's right. If Mother Nature doesn't want you to go, you don't go. And it's that's a funny thing because we evolved on Earth, right? And everyone says it's like that's just my take on it. We evolved on Earth because Earth was perfect for us. And I disagree because I say we evolved on Earth despite it being so imperfect for us, Earthquakes, tsunamis, all the lightning strikes, all the crazy things that happen on Earth that just try to kill us on a daily basis. The animals, the insects, everything, and still we're here. So we didn't make it because the Earth was perfect for us. We adapted to it and survived despite its imperfection for us. And over the snow comes the Scandinavians. You know what's weird? Hold on, Ragsock says. Humanity has made war so normal they don't even stop and think, what's the point? Do it all the time. I'm so tired of humans. We think we're so smart and technological, but the world functions like a kindergarten. I'm so done with this, and it's the reason why I'm not even social IRL anymore. Most humans are NPCs, man. They live life and think this or that. There is they go to school and get indoctrinated to become a good law-abiding citizens. You can pay taxes and make others rich. Dude, it is a terrible world, though. It's a horseshit world. And we're the smartest thing on the planet right now. Like if you're measuring in constructive or destructive capability. But honestly, though, if humans went away, the Earth would return to a paradise in 100 years or so. If we lost bees, we'd be extinct. A species of bees, man. They're smaller than my thumbnail. They're smaller than my ring, typically. Never seen one this big. They go away, we die. No, we're not that important to this Earth. We're not. And it's a shitty world full of shitty people who are full of shit. It is. This is why I'm waiting to be abducted by aliens soon. And in turn put people like Don Mussolini in charge, dude. Yeah, I'm having a hard time believing that happened, It's so messed up. Like, pick the worst one, and we choose him, the worst one, and that's who we'll put in charge. Can you please abduct the orange fuckhead first? Joe Rogan keeping him in his bedside drawer. I love Joe Rogan, though. I love Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's king. But he's you shouldn't take advice from him, but his podcasts are good. And he has cool guests. And he's a cool dude.
It could likely use Pitufik Air Base as a forward operating base. But it is important to note that getting to and from this airbase over land is only possible with normal transport about 3 months of the year.
A probe is a probe, and he needs it bad. Dude, they'd probably chuck him right back. They'd regret it soon.
And going from it to the more populated areas down south, overland, is a nigh on impossible task without the proper gear. A European-Canadian defense would exploit that.
Now look at that terrain. How do you cross that, with your Humvee? I mean, it's you need a lot of specialized gears to ferry a lot of people over there, right?
Don't try to meet the U.S. in a fair weather set piece where its air force and carrier groups would decimate a defense. You make every landing zone a maintenance problem and every approach costly. You create white noise with decoys, radar reflectors, and heat sources in the wrong areas. You lay mines and sensor grids on the few viable taxiways. You combine long-range fires with small Arctic patrols, like that of the Danish Special Ops Team, permanently on the island aptly named the Sirius Patrol.
I'm gonna give this guy a follow. I encourage you guys to check out his channel. I'm gonna link you to the channel when this video is done. Please leave a like for this dude, just to have done it. I want to see more of his videos, man. I want to figure out more about this person, because he seems legit, at least.
And move on skis, behind dog sleds and snowmobiles, living off caches and hitting fuel depots and power units rather than chasing US units in the open.
It's like Ragsok says, though. It's incredible how commonplace we've made war, isn't it? And it's been a very long period of stability until I'm supposing the early 2020s. But now it's like the most it's so freaking average. I can tune into YouTube and see someone get offed from someone's body cam, and there's a normal thing. A little bit weird that that's normal, though.
Denmark's recent cooperation with Ukraine likely means that it has
Yeah, there it is. The Sirius Patrol. They spell it different, but they sound like they're serious.
Access to non-electrical powered drones capable of knocking out the 4 diesel generators, keeping Pitufik warm. Without the necessary heating, the issues US troops had with the weather in Vietnam would seem like a dream when the temperatures drop below freezing in August.
I appreciate you.
Maritime operations are no easier. Ice and distance punish large surface groups. Submarines and long-range patrol aircraft still matter, but the fight narrows to a few usable approaches and anchorages. A defender does not need to sink everything. It only needs to make replenishment uncertain, slow, and costly. That forces an attacker to bring ice-capable escorts, more tankers, more de-icing agents, more of everything.
That's where the strength of the American force lies, and that's within logistics. I'm saying the strength like I'm an expert, but it's a very strong part of their military. They have so much logistics in their fleet, to keep everyone supplied, fed, and as clean as they can. But do they have Arctic logistics? That's my question. Here's a funny story, and it was a Japanese. How was this? How does this one go? The Japanese, way long ago, surrendered to an American fleet because the Japanese fleet. They were struggling just to find resources to stay patched, to have weapons, food, anything. They were starving. And at the same time, the American fleet, and this is a true story, they had enough ships left over, enough logistics left over, so they turned one of them into a floating ice cream factory. Yeah. Serving ice cream to the troops. And we saw that is like, if this is their surplus, I'm done with this shit. I'm done. I will see if I can find a link to that story later. Let's see the thing.
As we say in the Finnish army, winter logistics scale badly. A drum of fuel in winter is heavier in effort than it is in kilograms. It needs heated storage, careful handling, and a clean supply chain of winter-capable pumps, hoses, and couplings that will not crack in -40 degrees Celsius. Many recruits in the Nordic armies learned this the hard way. One slip in preparation can ruin an operation. In Europe plus Canada, the ice-capable inventory is again much larger than the American inventory. Norway fields 4 Arctic-capable patrol vessels, 1 Svalbard-class ice-breaking and 3 Jan Mayen-class ice-strengthened patrol ships. Finland now brings 7 ice-capable ships, including NATO's foremost icebreaker production knowledge.
Us right off the bat.
Sweden brings 5, Canada brings 9, and is expanding further. The United Kingdom contribution is niche, but useful with HMS Protector. The Baltic states add capacity at the margins. Latvia has 1. Estonia has 1.
From Canada.
The Netherlands adds 1 as well. Most of Greenland's ports freeze over in around November, and to be able to get anywhere close to land, you're very dependent on this ability. The U.S., for its part, only has 2 capable icebreakers, though they have recently signed a deal with Finland to create more.
That's a huge difference, though. That's a huge difference in logistical capability, I guess. Wonder when Yanks get the icebreakers Finland's supposed to build for them. Yeah, I would probably go, if I was Finland, I would be like, on second thought, on second thought. Maybe we shouldn't be building this. Make him Swiss, yeah.
Which would obviously be scrapped in such a scenario. So could the rest of NATO actually stop the US in Greenland? The blunt answer is that stopping isn't the right lens. The US is a superpower with unrivaled global lift and strike capabilities. If Washington chose to batter its way into Greenland, it could seize air and sea bridgeheads and pour in force. The realistic question is whether the rest of NATO could make that choice politically impossible and operationally miserable, so costly, slow, and publicly self-defeating that the idea collapses under its own weight as opposition to US casualties generally makes them pull out of wars.
That's the desired scenario, though, guy, because, I talk tough, I talk shit, but lives are still lives, and if this can end with 0 casualties from either side, I want everyone to be able to go home to their families, instead of dying for a stupid war, for some stupid politician they didn't even vote for. God damn. That's my biggest fear, man. Going to war for this government? I'm not dying for some politician. I don't even like the dude. I don't agree with anything he does. I didn't vote for him. The fuck?
The answer there is yes. In the Arctic, a capable defender with winter skills doesn't need parity in tonnage, missiles, or fancy aircraft carriers. It needs to deny tempo, complicate sustainment, and wait for the attacker's maintenance and morale curves to dip below the red line after the brief 3 months of degrees above freezing are over. There's also the alliance dimension. NATO's strength isn't any single army, it's the habit of acting together.
That's actually... I want to see that again. Can I rewind just a couple of seconds? Hold on.
There's also the alliance dimension.
That right there, real. That's actually really good food, though, and they're expensive. That's like no joke meal. I have 20 of them laying around the house, just in case. Like a dude I saw on Instagram. I ain't going to war with the U.S. for plastic bags that now cost 7 crowns. Hell no, man. Hey, Orange Blob, I hope you meet your pal Jeff soon. My name is Jeff. Hold on. Let me see if let me see if the timing here is perfect. Do you have any idea who I am?
My name is Jeff.
I got it! Hold on. But the Orange Plus thinks about saving lives, and that's why I should get the Peace Prize. Dude, I thought about a lot of things, man. I thought about a lot of things that should have gotten me the Nobel Peace Prize or jail time, Either or. I don't think my thoughts should get me there anyway. Is that why it's going to war and kidnapping presidents? That's a whole other discussion, though. That's a whole other discussion. But, yeah, let's not go into that. But he wasn't really wanted by his people, and he is considered a dictator. But I think it's still crossing a line. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that. Kenny got off for way less than this. He did. I eat those when I go hiking. Lapskaus one is fucking amazing, dude. I have so many. I think I have like 20 of them in the house, and probably 4 or 5 different versions of them, plus some snack packs, you know. Eat up on the extra bacon is the best. It's great. They don't have that in real tomato. Also seems the Americans have forgot about the Second Amendment. Yeah. Second Amendment, would that be... I'm not really... I don't know the American Constitution, but that's the free speech, right? Microprogramming was the trigger when you say it twice. Not when I say it twice, it's because I said it wrong. You fool! You buffoon!
NATO's strength isn't any single army, it's the habit of acting together. An American assault on Danish territory would snap that habit. European publics would rally to Denmark. Canada would be in an impossible position politically and strategically, and that tension alone shows why the scenario is so unlikely. Deterrence here is partly moral and legal, but it's also practical. Every US planner understands that fighting the weather and your own alliance at the same time is a losing proposition. As promised, next week...
Oh, there he is! The Doritos Man!
We'll move to the people who currently lives above the noisy neighbors and ask the same hard question about...
Who lives above the noisy neighbors. That's what I'm going to start calling them from now on.
Canada, where the distances aren't quite as large, and the weather generally at least slightly favors the US arsenal. We'll look at Canada's strengths and weaknesses, and look at how costly the same exercise would be if the US tried a similar move there.
What do you guys think, though? Was it terrible? Hanging out there, shooting shit, watching that video with me? Was that bad? Was it terrible? Should I never do that again? The Second Amendment is for the people to keep guns to protect the nation against tyranny. Yeah, it is. It's that's true. I've heard of this one though, but then that means inside the nation. There's no place you'll find as many guns as in the U.S. You know, so if a situation like that were to arise, you know, they're prepped and ready. Oh my man, I didn't know we were talking about Turmat. The chat is going around there, and I'm having seizures. Yeah, it's hard for me to follow as well. Her Royal Majesty. I'm watching the video with you. It's a sad topic, but other than that, yeah, just do it. Honestly, that's like the only thing. You know, honestly, it's just fucking sad, and it does truly make me sad. You know that this is the state of the world we live in. You know, this is like brother killing brother, you know. It's the way the Orange Menace is towards Canada, the way he is towards Greenland. To me, it's if you now just bear with me. I'm not I want to be careful how I phrase this. But we all agree that Putin invading Ukraine is terrible, right? He shouldn't have done that, and he has no claim to that land. Do you agree? Do you agree? You agree on that? Terrible that he did that. It's an awful thing. Now, at the same time, I will also argue that Donald Trump's claim to Greenland is even lesser than the one that Putin claims over Ukraine. It's even smaller, guys. It's nothing at all. I still believe that Putin has no claim over Greenland, though. But there's absolutely zero. It's like nothing. U.S. didn't even exist when Greenland was formed, for Christ's sake. I thought the Bush era was crazy. Yeah, me too, man. But the funny thing, though, because I thought that too, and I'm looking back in it, and I'm like, damn, I missed that guy. He had a solid head on his shoulders. I mean, he was dumb. He was dumb as fuck. Like, literally, he was dumber than a bag of hammers. But he was a useful individual, at least. A useful idiot, I guess. Makes him almost seem normal for a second. He doesn't want to protect Russians living in Ukraine. Blyat! Yeah, fuck that guy. Absolutely fuck Putin for doing that. Abso-fucking-lutely. That was, if anyone misinterpreted that, I don't want anyone to twist my words there and say that, oh, that means you support Putin. I don't. I think he's a scumbag beyond all scumbags. And what's going on there is just, it's A humanitarian crisis without any parallel. There's a consequence for Putler, though. Don Doritos bombed Iran, Nigeria, and kidnapped the president of Venezuela. No consequences. Yeah. It's high time he gets some, though. It's really high time he gets some. But I wonder, my problem, though, he doesn't care about... hold on here. Joe Squad, do you really think Trump will take Greenland? I hope not, Joe Squad. I hope we will resolve it politically and he will back down. That would be the best case, because the best case scenario is always the case where no one has to die, right? You agree with that? But it's really hard. He's a very unpredictable man, right? It's not easy to tell, but I don't think he's gonna take it. No. What do you guys think, though? Do you think he's gonna make a serious move at Greenland? No, look at this thing. Hold on. Yeah, I gotta see what you told me.